Welcome back to Deaton Street. I'm Dustin and he's Zach. And today we're talking about a Swiss technology firm called Final Spark and how they are using lab-grown brains to replace computer chips. Before we get into that though, if you could go below the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you really like it, leave a comment, let us know what you think about this topic we're about to talk about. So Zach, what is this lab-grown brain stuff that we keep talking about?
So this is a pretty complicated topic. It is a little bit outside of the typical like tech gadgety stuff that we talk about, but I read the article this weekend, actually had a buddy send it to me and I thought it was important, thought it was
Mhm.
something that we should probably get out there and talk about. And so what it is a company in Switzerland called Final Spark, as you said. They've launched what they're calling a Neuroplatform, which consists of 16 brain organoids. And so what an organoid is a miniature version of a human organ that is grown from human tissue. So they are using brain tissue to grow essentially miniature brains. And through different technology and the video or the article will be linked in the description of this video so that you can research and read through the technical stuff
Mhm.
yourself. But essentially through different technology, they are using this to do computational tasks in place of silicon chips. Now, this neural platform is said to be 1,000,000 times faster than silicon chips. And so it's unclear in the article if they are currently using this to train AI, but the article heavily implies that this technology could be used to train AI more efficiently in the future. The article talks about the energy required to do so, to train like a large language model. They said it's like the equivalent of 1,000 times of a European city, that
Mhm.
type of thing. It's essentially at the beginning of training large language models. So one of the things, kind of the last like background of this information
Mhm.
before we get into the topic of ethics, is that these will eventually die. They require some energy to keep them alive and keep them processing. Uh, in the past, it's taken about 10 days for these brain organoids to die. Now, this company says they can keep them alive for 100 days. So, with all of that, what do we think about the ethics of this? You and I talked briefly about this, but I really want to make sure we get into that in this video. I think the heart of this video should be about the ethics of this
Mhm.
and what it could mean potentially for our future if this is the pathway that science and technology goes as far as more efficient computing. So,
Yeah.
just right off the bat, what are your thoughts?
It's it gets into fishy, really weird territory there. Because they are growing brains and using them and then using them for the data mining kind of deal, using it for that processing and then just squeezing all the juice out of it and then it dies and then we're gonna get the next one. Um it gets weird. That's like stuff you would see in like a not post-apocalyptic, but just like a science like evil villain type movie
Yeah.
kind of deal. Like it's very dystopian, futurist kind of deal. Or like teetering on the edge of that, I guess. It's just it's uncomfortable to read about for me
Hmm.
personally. I I kind of get why they're doing it as far as like efficiency and stuff like that goes, but then it kind of treads that line where it's like, whoa, hold on a minute. That's a little it's a little sketchy.
One of my first thoughts when I read the article, like I said, a friend sent it to me over the weekend, knowing that we
Mhm.
do this. I actually went back and researched one, are brain organoids a thing? And they are. This is a real
Mhm.
thing. I even looked up the website of the Final Spark website. It appears to be a legitimate website, a legitimate company that is doing this. And
Mhm.
then I looked into if the scientific community had figured out whether or not brain organoids have consciousness,
Mm.
which I think is the base of the ethical argument about this, right? I mean, there's obviously some ethical arguments about the sourcing of brain tissue, right? Which we won't
Yeah.
get into.
Yeah.
But if these brains have a shred of consciousness, regardless of intelligent level, I am, it almost like freaks me out and gives me goosebumps, like how messed up that is. Now, the
Yep.
scientific articles that I read said that most scientists believe that at the scale, the brains wouldn't have consciousness, and that consciousness needs a neurological system, a nervous system needs a body to house it, right? That it seems to make the argument that the whole picture of humanity is like the full body. But I don't know personally if I buy that. I don't know that there is
Uh,
fully like a scientific test to figure out fully if it does or
yeah.
doesn't, right?
Well, I mean, are we, so that argument being said, if it requires a body, are those scientists giving this brain a body, a processor
Mm-hmm.
body? Like it's not a human, it's not a physical body, obviously.
Right, but it's hooked
But
up to
is that
things.
being, it's hooked up to things, it's firing off neurons, it's processing stuff. Your brain processes stuff as you go day to day,
Right.
sleep, anything. So that's where it's weird.
It's interesting. Sleep is mentioned in one of the scientific articles that I read,
Yeah.
saying it kind of talking about consciousness while you're asleep and things like that. And to be honest with you, a lot of it is very heady, a little
Hmm.
bit difficult for me to read. I have a political science degree, not a actual science degree, but
Yeah.
I think that this is one of the areas where science should tread extremely lightly if there's a chance. If
Hmm.
there's a chance that we are bringing consciousness into existence for the purpose of plugging it in to process any type of computer data, especially if down the
Yeah.
line we're going to start processing AI or like using this to fire off AI tasks. I
Hmm.
mean, we're talking about replacing human jobs with
Yeah.
AI. Let's talk about using human brains, lab grown or not, to be the AI. That's insanity. That is insane dystopian type stuff.
So the other thing is too, it's like, okay, if we're using and abusing these brains for this kind of stuff, and it's got a consciousness, right?
Mhm.
Let's say that is the real thing. That's the reality. If it's got a consciousness, who's to say that this won't catch on with the other brain buddies there and be like, wait a minute. So then you really get into that
Yeah,
that dystopian future type deal
yeah.
where they're aware that they're being used.
The tough thing about that, man, is you're talking about 100 days, and you're talking about
Yeah.
a brain that is the equivalent of a 100-day old, you know, child. So
Hmm.
it's not. It's tough. This is a tough one, man.
It's yeah, it's tough.
So in the past, these brain organoids have been used to research human disease. I'm
Mm,
sure probably like Alzheimer's, that type of deal, right?
yeah.
While still freaky and still, I think, morally questionable, I think that at least that purpose has a uh, kind of generally good reason behind it, right?
Yeah.
Powering computer chips or becoming computer chips and training AI, and it's hard to argue that that is a
Yeah.
reasonable use for a lab grown brain, human
Yeah.
brain.
To me, it if you're using it for that, like you said, like to research Alzheimer's, dementia, like conditions of the human brain, and maybe how to remedy that, maybe how to counteract it,
Yeah.
maybe to know how that process deteriorates the actual human brain, or whatever that may be. But just using it to defeat AI, I mean, come on. Do we do we really need AI that bad?
Well,
You know?
and like we said before, at that point, it's not even. I mean, it is AI, but if it's like human brain powered AI, we're in some gross dystopian future where, you know, large corporations are growing brains in order to replace actual human jobs. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's scary. And so I don't want to ramble on and on. I feel like we've certainly made our
Yeah.
point that
Yeah.
this is not something that excites us, or we're hopefully this is not the future. It's got some serious ethical questions. With that, we would love to hear your thoughts about this.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to link the article in the description so that you can go and read it for yourself. I can even link some of the scientific articles that I found as well. I'll send that over to you, Dustin.
Yeah.
Final thoughts from you before we say goodbye for today.
It's it's a no. You know, it's just it's scary.
Yeah.
It teeters into those you know, iRobot style movies that the machines are going to wake up kind of thing, which is kind of what everybody's scared about with the AI, blah, 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 all the AGI stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's you're melding the AI with humanity type. It's just stop, slow down, people.
Yeah.
We don't have to go this fast.
Yeah. Completely agree. Well, with that, that's all we got for you today. Like I said, we do 3 videos a week. We'll have one coming out Wednesday and Friday this week. We promise they won't be that deep. So we hope to see you then.
Yeah.
All right. Peace.
See ya.